Imagine this scenario. You rise from your couch, prepared for a brief stroll, and suddenly your calves tremble as though they have completed a full marathon, despite the fact that you merely stood up. That unsteadiness is not simply aging. It represents a silent distress signal from your muscles, and the foods you believe are beneficial might actually be the culprits. Daily, countless individuals beyond 60 years reach for something sweet while attempting to maintain healthy eating habits, then question why their legs burn when they are only halfway down the corridor. Today, we are illuminating 5 vibrant, seemingly harmless fruits that, when consumed incorrectly, can overwhelm your bloodstream with excessive sugar, overload your potassium levels, or disrupt your electrolytes until your legs feel like overcooked pasta. While age may increase the candles on your birthday cake, it does not need to remove the energy from your movement. In the upcoming minutes, we will explore together the scientific pitfalls concealed within those familiar treats, and I will demonstrate simple substitutions and timing strategies so you maintain every bit of strength in your walk. I guarantee no lengthy speeches, just a comfortable conversation around the kitchen table. If you appreciate practical wellness advice without complex medical terminology, please tap the like button, subscribe, and activate notifications on Balance Health so you never miss an opportunity to remain strong. Share a comment as we proceed. Tell me which fruit you consume most frequently, and I will respond to your questions personally. Are you ready to safeguard your legs from the first sneaky troublemaker? Observe that spotted yellow companion ripening on your counter. It smells wonderful and appears harmless, yet when its sugars reach their peak, it can upset your electrolyte balance more rapidly than you can say cramp. Let us uncover the reality about our first fruit. Starting immediately, you know that soft, sweet banana resting on your counter, covered in brown patches. It appears tempting, particularly when you are desiring something quick and convenient. However, here is what most people do not understand. That very ripe banana, while loaded with potassium, can quietly drain the power directly from your legs if you are not cautious. Let us examine this together. As bananas mature, the starch within them transforms into simple sugars. That is why ripe bananas taste sweeter. They truly are. A single ripe banana contains up to 17 grams of sugar and carries a glycemic index that can rise as high as 65, depending on its ripeness. This means it can increase your blood sugar more rapidly than you would anticipate. For older adults, especially those managing diabetes or prediabetes, this type of sudden increase can result in an energy collapse. When that collapse occurs, it frequently appears in the legs first, heaviness, fatigue, or even mild shakiness that makes walking feel like a burden. Now, here is where it becomes more concerning. Bananas are abundant in potassium, approximately 420 milligrams per fruit. That is not problematic for most healthy adults, but for seniors, particularly those taking blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors or potassium-sparing diuretics, that additional potassium can accumulate rapidly. Your kidneys process potassium, and as we age, kidney function naturally decreases. When potassium builds up in the blood, a condition known as hyperkalemia, you can experience muscle weakness, numbness, even irregular heartbeat. That weakness frequently begins in your legs. The National Kidney Foundation cautions that high potassium fruits like bananas should be consumed in moderation, especially by people with reduced kidney function. They have even classified ripe bananas as a fruit to restrict for those managing kidney-related concerns. So, even if you feel healthy, if your kidneys are slowing down behind the scenes, those daily bananas could be shifting your balance in the wrong direction. Here is another aspect. That banana sugar increase, followed by a blood sugar decrease, can interfere with your electrolytes sodium, calcium, magnesium, all of which are essential for muscle contraction and nerve signals. If they decrease or shift too rapidly, the result might feel like a sudden cramp, tremor, or that strange moment when your leg simply does not feel like it is cooperating. So, what can you do instead? If you love bananas, do not worry. You do not have to eliminate them entirely, just make small adjustments. First, choose bananas that are still yellow with a hint of green. Less ripe means lower sugar and a gentler effect on your blood sugar. Second, pair it with a source of protein or healthy fat, like a spoonful of peanut butter or a handful of nuts. This slows down the sugar release and gives your muscles the fuel they actually need. The truth is bananas are not harmful, but the manner and timing you consume them makes all the difference, especially after 60. When you treat your body like the wise, experienced machine it is, even simple fruits like bananas can be your allies instead of your obstacles. Now that we have revealed the truth behind bananas, let us examine something that wears a tropical crown and promises to refresh you, but might be quietly inflaming your joints and sending your sugar into chaos. It is time to discuss our second fruit. Pineapple. Juicy, golden, and bursting with tropical flavor. It is the kind of fruit that feels like a mini vacation in your mouth. Sweet, tangy, and refreshing. But for those of us over 60, especially if your legs already feel stiff or tired, pineapple might be causing more harm than good. And it all begins with what it does inside your body the moment you take a bite. First, let us discuss sugar. 1 cup of fresh pineapple chunks contains about 16 grams of sugar and 21 grams of carbs. That does not sound excessive at first, until you realize that pineapple also has a glycemic index between 59 and 66, depending on ripeness. That places it firmly in the moderate to high range, meaning it can raise your blood sugar fairly quickly. When your blood sugar rises and falls like a roller coaster, your energy drops with it. For seniors, those drops often appear in the legs, feeling sluggish, wobbly, or thus not as steady as you were 10 minutes earlier. Now let us add the hidden layer: inflammation. Pineapple contains an enzyme called bromelain, which some claim helps with inflammation. That is true in certain forms and doses. But here is the twist: for some people, especially those with sensitive stomachs or chronic joint issues, bromelain can actually irritate the gut, trigger mild allergic reactions, or even make inflammation worse, especially when consumed in large amounts. If you have ever eaten too much pineapple and felt that weird burning sensation in your mouth or throat, that is bromelain at work. Imagine what it might be doing to your joints or nerves, especially if you already live with arthritis, nerve pain, or inflammation in your knees or feet. It does not stop there. Pineapple's acidity can also upset your stomach if eaten on an empty one, which is when many seniors like to snack. That can interfere with digestion, cause bloating, and throw off your body's ability to absorb minerals like magnesium and calcium, minerals essential for muscle contraction and bone support. Without proper absorption, your muscles do not work as well, and your legs might feel heavier than they should at something as simple as walking to the mailbox. Here is a big red flag. If you are on medication, bromelain can increase the effects of blood thinners and even interact with certain antibiotics. If you are taking something like warfarin or aspirin daily and you eat a bowl of pineapple thinking it is a healthy treat, you might be increasing your risk of bruising or muscle tenderness, especially in your lower body where circulation is already slower with age. So, what can you do instead? First, if you love pineapple, keep it fresh, not canned, which often comes loaded with added sugars. Second, keep your portions small, just a few chunks, and always with food, not alone. Finally, pay attention to your body's signals. If your joints feel stiffer or your legs cramp more after pineapple, that is not your imagination. It might be time to choose fruits with less sugar and acidity, like blueberries or kiwi, which are gentler on your muscles and blood sugar. Now that you know how something as cheerful as pineapple could be secretly sabotaging your leg strength, let us turn our attention to another tropical favorite. It is smooth, vibrant, and full of flavor, but its sugar load can hit your body like a freight train. Yes, it is time we discuss our third fruit, mango. Just the name brings to mind bright summer afternoons, juicy slices, and that rich golden color that feels like sunshine on your plate. For many, it is the ultimate tropical treat. But when you are over 60 and struggling with energy, inflammation, or leg strength, that mango might be quietly making things worse. Here is why. A single cup of ripe mango slices gives you about 25 grams of sugar. That is nearly the same sugar hit as a small chocolate bar. It also delivers over 99 calories and close to 23 grams of carbohydrates. That sugar rush might give you a brief lift, but it does not last. What follows is that familiar crash. Your energy drops, your legs feel heavier, and simple tasks like standing up or climbing a few stairs suddenly feel like pushing through sand. This is not just about energy. That sugar spike followed by a sharp drop does more than mess with your mood. It triggers inflammation deep in your muscles and joints. Scientific studies have shown that diets high in fructose, the natural sugar found in mango, can increase inflammatory markers in the body, especially IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Over time, this type of chronic, low-level inflammation can make it harder for your muscles to recover and even accelerate muscle breakdown, a condition called sarcopenia, which is already a concern as we age. Let us add another layer. Mangoes have a low to moderate fiber content, only around 0.6 grams per cup, which means that sugar is absorbed fast into your bloodstream. Unlike fruits with more fiber, like apples or pears, mango does not slow down the sugar release. That is bad news for your blood vessels because when blood sugar rises too quickly, it puts stress on your arteries, and the circulation to your legs and feet can suffer. Over time, this damages the tiny vessels and nerves that help you move with ease. If you have ever felt a weird tingling in your calves or noticed your legs fall asleep more often, poor circulation from repeated sugar spikes could be part of the puzzle. Let us not forget allergies. It might surprise you, but mango belongs to the same plant family as poison ivy. The uracil compound found in mango skin can cause itching, swelling, or even rashes in sensitive individuals. If your body reacts with an immune response every time you eat mango, especially if your mouth tingles or your lips swell, it is adding to the inflammation load you are already carrying. That constant background inflammation saps your energy and weakens your muscle performance, even if it is subtle. So, what should you do if you love mangoes? The answer is not to cut them out entirely, but to be strategic. Stick to small portions. Think half a mango or a few slices, and never eat it alone on an empty stomach. Instead, pair it with Greek yogurt or a handful of almonds. That way, you get some healthy fat and protein to slow down the sugar rush. If you have noticed any skin irritation or fatigue after eating mango, it might be worth stepping back and observing what your body is telling you. Now, from mangoes to another fruit that looks sweet and innocent, but has been linked to some shocking effects in older adults, especially when eaten on an empty stomach. Let us talk about lychee. Small, fragrant, and oh so sweet. You will find it in fruit salads, desserts, and sometimes straight from the can in sugary syrup. It is often treated as a light, refreshing treat, but for older adults, especially those dealing with blood sugar swings or muscle weakness, lychee can be a risky little fruit hiding behind a sweet smile. Here is why. Lychees are packed with fast-acting sugar, about 29 grams of sugar per cup, yet barely to 0.5 grams of fiber. That means when you eat them, the sugar surges through your system almost instantly. If you eat them alone, especially in the late afternoon or on an empty stomach, you might experience a sudden blood sugar crash within a few hours. When that drop happens, it hits hard, leaving your legs feeling wobbly, your energy zapped, and your mind foggy. But there is more to the story. Lychee is not just about sugar. It contains a natural toxin called MCPG, methylene cyclopropylglycine, a compound that blocks the body's ability to produce glucose when needed, especially when your blood sugar is already low. In extreme cases, this has led to dangerous hypoglycemia. Several medical reports from India and Southeast Asia have documented outbreaks of lychee-induced hypoglycemic encephalopathy, where undernourished children who ate lychees without a proper meal ended up seizing or even in comas to critically low blood sugar. While these cases involve children, the same risk applies to older adults who skip meals or eat lightly and then snack on lychee. Your liver does not respond as quickly as it used to, and your muscles do not store as much glucose. So, your body has fewer reserves when blood sugar drops. So, what does that mean for your legs? Glucose is your muscle's fuel? When levels crash, your muscle coordination and strength go with it. You might feel lightheaded, unstable, or even shaky in the knees just from eating what seemed like a harmless fruit. For seniors taking diabetes medication or insulin, the risk is even higher since you are already managing blood sugar tightly. Adding lychee on top of that, especially on an empty stomach, is like throwing a match on dry grass. If you are eating canned lychee, there is even more to worrying about. Those versions often come drenched in syrup, doubling the sugar load. One small can could contain over 40 grams of sugar, almost your entire recommended intake for the day. That is not a snack, that is a metabolic shock. Over time, frequent sugar hits like that contribute to inflammation, poor circulation, and yes, weaker leg function. Your calves and thighs depend on steady blood flow and energy to keep you balanced and mobile. Flood them with sugar too often, and they lose their edge. Here is the good news. You do not have to quit lychee forever, but you do need to be smart about it. If you really enjoy it, eat just a few pieces as dessert, never as a standalone snack, and always combine it with a proper meal, something with protein and complex carbs, so your body has a safety net. If you have ever felt faint or suddenly weak in the legs after eating fruit, especially tropical ones like lychee, that is your body asking for help. Let us move on to one that seems so tiny and innocent you might never suspect it, but behind its wrinkled little skin hides more sugar and potassium than your body might be ready for. Let us talk about raisins. They are tiny, they are chewy, and they have been called nature's candy for good reason. Raisins, those sweet, wrinkled bites of dried grape, are in trail mixes, cereal bowls, and even baked into your favorite cookies. But for those of us over 60, especially if you have ever felt your legs cramp, swell, or give out after a snack, raisins might not be as innocent as they look. Let us start with the sugar story, because raisins are dried. All the water is gone, but the sugar, it is concentrated. In just a small handful, about 1/4 cup, you get nearly 28 to 30 grams of sugar. That is nearly as much as a can of soda, and you might be eating it thinking it is a healthy snack. But here is the kicker. Raisins also have a high glycemic load, which means they hit your bloodstream like a sugar bomb. That sudden spike can cause your blood sugar to rise rapidly and just as quickly crash. When that crash hits, it drains the energy from your muscles, particularly your legs, since they carry your whole body. That is when you feel that post-snack wobble, that slow, heavy walk, or that strange weakness in your thighs. But there is another twist that most people never hear about: potassium overload. A lot of people know bananas have potassium, but did you know raisins have nearly 3 times more per cup? That is right. 1 cup of seedless raisins contains up to 1,200 milligrams of potassium. If your kidneys are not working as efficiently as they used to, which is common as we age, that potassium can start building up in your blood. The National Kidney Foundation actually lists raisins as a high potassium food that people with chronic kidney disease or those taking blood pressure medications should avoid or strictly limit. So, if you are on ACE inhibitors, spironolactone, or have any kidney concerns, that bowl of healthy raisins might be doing more harm than good. Let us not forget the calories either. Raisins are dense, Just 1 cup packs over 450 calories, often without making you feel full. That is a problem for 2 reasons. First, if you are watching your weight to ease the load on your knees and hips, high-calorie snacks like raisins can sneak in and work against you. Second, extra weight means extra strain on your legs, which can amplify fatigue and reduce stability. So, what should you do if you enjoy raisins? You do not have to cut them out completely, but you do need to treat them like a garnish, not a snack. Sprinkle a few over your morning oats or mix them into a high-fiber salad with leafy greens and protein, but avoid eating them by the handful or straight from the box, especially not on an empty stomach. Also, stay hydrated. Raisins are dehydrated by nature, and eating a lot of them without enough fluids can leave your muscles thirsty for electrolytes. That is when cramps hit hardest, usually in your calves or feet at night, just when you are trying to sleep. Now that you have seen how 5 common fruits, even ones labeled healthy, can quietly chip away at your leg strength, let us bring it all together and talk about what you can do starting today to move stronger and live better. So here is your simple takeaway. Start with awareness. Eat these fruits in smaller portions, pair them with protein or fiber, and listen to your body after you eat. If your legs feel heavier, if your energy crashes, if you notice more cramps, those are signs, quiet signs that you can change. The best part, change does not have to be loud or hard. You do not have to transform your whole world in one day. You just need to make a few small choices consistently. Maybe it is choosing half a banana instead of a whole one. Maybe it is trading raisins for fresh blueberries. Or maybe it is just knowing what works better for you today than it did yesterday. That alone is powerful. If this video gave you clarity or helped you see something you had not before, leave a comment below. Tell me which of these fruits surprised you the most. I read every single message, and I would love to hear your story. If you want more practical, science-backed health tips to stay strong, sharp, and independent after 60, then do not forget to like this video and subscribe to Balance Health. Your journey to a better life does not have to be hard, it just has to be yours. Stay steady, stay strong, and I will see you in the next video.